last example here, we see we've got 2x squared plus 7x plus 5 equals 0. And here, there's a number in front of the x squared, so a does not equal 1. We call this the a, the b, and the c term. And there is no greatest common factor. We can't divide them all by 2, so there's no way to get rid of this number in front of the x squared. This is the harder type of factoring, and there are lots of ways to do it, but I'm going to remind you of one here. One way to do it is we know it'll be a binomial times a binomial is equal to 0. So we just have to figure out what these binomials are. And the way we're going to do it is we know that just like before, we're going to need two numbers that add to be 7, and they're going to need to multiply to be, they're not going to multiply to make 5 because of this 2. When there's a number a does not equal, when a does not equal to 1, we need to multiply these together. So 2 times 5 is equal to 10. So we multiply a times c, and those multiply to make 10, and that's the number that we need to multiply to make. We need to find two numbers that multiply to make 10, and we got this 10 from multiplying the 2 times the 5 and add to be 7. So let's see, 2 and 5. And it doesn't matter what order we put them in. If we had put 2 and 5, that would have been fine. And that tells us what our binomials are going to be, or at least the start of it. I'm going to put x plus 2 and then x plus 5. I could have put x plus 5 and then x plus 2. It's fine. But we're not done, and clearly this is wrong. X times x is x squared, not 2x squared. 2 times 5 is 10, not 5. Remember, when there's a number in front of the x squared, when a does not equal to 1, we're going to need to divide both of these by that number. So we're going to divide by a. We're going to divide by 2. And if it goes evenly, well, that's great. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So one of the binomials is x plus 1. If it does not divide in evenly, that number is going to become a coefficient in front of x instead of dividing the 5. So this will become, that 2 will move over here and become 2x plus 5. And remember, this is equal to 0. So now we've got our two binomials that multiply to get us our original thing, and this works. X times 2x is 2x squared. 1 times 5 is 5. And if you multiply these, you'd get 2x and 5x's, and that adds up to 7x's. Now we need to solve this, and we're going to use our zero product property, zero product principle. And either this first one has to be 0 or this second one has to be 0. And I'm going to split it up individually and say x plus 1 could equal 0, or 2x plus 5 could equal 0. And this one's pretty easy just to see what it is. Like, what plus 1 is 0? Well, x is -1. But if you don't feel comfortable with that, you could always just subtract 1 on both sides, and then you'd get x equals -1. That's fine. This one's a little bit harder to see because it's 2 times what plus 5 equals 0. And this one, more people will actually do all the steps, and that's fine. So we get 2x equals -5. It's multiplying, so we do the inverse and divide, and we get x equals, it's fine to leave it as -5 over 2. It's also fine to divide and get -2.5. These are the two solutions, and if we were to plug these into the original equation, they would make the equation true. Hopefully you feel good about all of these, and if you don't, ask for help.